Hi everyone, it's me, Diana, TheDollFairy. Welcome back to the TheDollFairy Pokemon Zodiac series. Our next star sign is Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign, represented by the image of the water bearer. With this in mind, I chose one of my favorite legendary Pokemon, Suicune, which I think really embodies this star sign better than any other Pokemon. Lots of you suggested it too. Suicune is said to represent the north winds and can instantly purify water. Some of its signature moves include Rain Dance and Aurora Beam, which I decided to incorporate into my design. My Suicune will have the style of a gypsy goddess, with accents and crystals that bring to mind both raindrops and the northern lights. I start with a Blondie Lockes doll as the base and remove her hair before dunking her head in hot water and removing the head. Then I use my jewelry pliers to scrape out and remove the glue and remaining hair plugs from inside her head. After removing her face paint with acetone nail polish remover as usual, I'm going to start with a reroot in this ultraviolet purple. I use my reroot tool, consisting of an X-Acto knife handle and a needle with the eye cut at an angle, to insert pieces of this nylon hair into the holes in her head. I do kind of wish I had purchased a lighter and slightly less cold shade of purple, but I've had plans to make a Suicune doll for over a year, and for some reason, this is the purple that past Diana chose. When I get to the part line, I crisscross the hair strands in order to cover the entire area. Next, I wrap up her hair in some fabric to protect it, and spray her face outside with a few coats of Mr. Super Clear Sealant. Once that's done, I can get started on sketching her facial features with my Prismacolor watercolor pencils. Suicune will have sharply angled and somewhat narrow eyes, just like the Pokemon has. As for her expression, I'm going to go for a vaguely wise and tranquil gaze. At the same time, I give her a little bit of whimsy with a slightly crooked smile. After outlining her features in light brown, I refine the outlines and start filling in some color, like the whites in her eyes and some light red in her pupils. Then I start darkening the parts of the iris to begin creating a gradient. I use darker reds and also some brown tones to deepen the red in her eyes. Because red is such a vibrant, pigmented color, I am able to get quite a bit of depth already in the very first layer. I also use some purpley pink tones of soft pastels for her lips, then some light pink to blush her cheeks. I add just a tiny amount of light blue eyeshadow to the inner corners of her eyelids to tie in the blue colors that will dominate her outfit. I kind of like that it covers such a small area, but has a big impact in her face. Then I give her face another spray of MSC and go over everything again with darker shades and try to create more nuanced color gradation in the eyes. Does that make sense? Sometimes I feel like I repeat the same phrases too much in my videos, so I tried to think of a different way to say that. Not trying to sound fancy or anything, sorry. I sharpen the outlines of her eyes as well as the pointy edge of the lash line. I considered giving her more individual eyelashes like I usually do, but this simple look seemed to fit the Pokemon somehow. Her face is starting to give me Generation 2 vibes, like it's similar to the official artwork of that time rather than how the style has evolved today, if that makes any sense. I also draw in the indication of pupils in the middle of the irises. After another spray of MSC, we're already on the last layer since the color has been sticking so well. I liven up those colors a bit more, refining outlines and adding more color to the irises. After a final coat, I add the white highlights in her eyes with some white acrylic paint. Then I take my Sculpey gloss to give her purple-pink lips a little bit of shine. And her face-up is finished. Now I can remove the covering on her hair to see how that vibrant purple looks framing her face. The next order of business is to create her outfit. I'll be using this light blue chiffon for a flowy skirt and for her puffed sleeves, and this teal satin for an accent skirt that will go on top of it. I also want to use this shimmery blue for something, but I haven't quite decided where that will go yet. For her top, I'll be using the Mod Podge method to create a fitted top out of some stretchy white fabric. After protecting the doll's body with plastic wrap, I tie the strip of fabric around her middle. Then I brush on Mod Podge around the bust area. This is basically just like making a wig cap, except it's a top instead. We'll let that dry and come back to it in a little while. For the bottom part of her outfit, I start with a skirt shape that is way wider at the top than the actual measurement of her waist. This is so that I can gather the fabric at the waistline. I cut a thin strip of elastic material that is the right size for her waist. After folding down and sewing the top of the skirt, I then use a loop turner to shove the elastic through. I don't think this is necessarily the right way to do an elastic casing, but with just a little bit of struggle, this worked for me. Then I hem the bottom of the skirt, sew up the back, and place it on the doll. Then I create a triangular shape out of the satin to create a skirt that is shamelessly inspired by Esmeralda from Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I use wire to create loops for these pretty diamond-shaped aurora glass beads, which are meant to be reminiscent of Suicune's diamond pattern on its body. I stitch the loops onto the skirt so that they line the edge and will hang down nicely along her hips. Now that her top is dry, I use a pencil to sketch the neckline I want, then I cut it out with scissors. The glue prevents the fabric from fraying, which is really useful. I then tie it back onto the body. For her open puff sleeves, I cut and hem a rectangular piece of the blue chiffon for each arm. Then I stitch and gather the top edge so that it will fit around the top of her arm. I then do the same for the part near her wrist. To create two puffs in the sleeve, I simply wrap a clear elastic band around the middle part of the arm. We'll cover this up with some ribbon later. Then I decide to use a strip of the iridescent blue as an accent tied beneath this top. I really wanted to include this because not only does it remind me of water and rain, but it also has a multicolored shine that ties in the aurora theme of Suicune. Speaking of ribbon, the next thing I want to do is create the two ribbon tails that Suicune has. I want them to be posable, so I'm going to take some wire and glue it between two pieces of white satin ribbon for each tail. I use my miniature clothespins to keep the ribbons together until the fast grab tacky glue dries. In order to achieve the look that I want, she's going to need a lot of bling. I start with some bangles on her ankle. I just used this really cheap metal ring I've had forever, and I cut and bend it to the right shape and size. I also string some aurora borealis crystals on some wire and create a bracelet for her to wear on her wrist. When the tail ribbons are all dry, I bend them into aesthetically pleasing swirl shapes. I think the flowy ribbons will really help give her the elegant and flowing look that I want. I clip the ends of the wired ribbons onto the back of her skirt, just like I would with a paper clip. This makes them easily removable, and they look so cool from the front. Now for the part I've been waiting for, her crystal crown. I found these gorgeous glass beads in various shades of blue. I'll be stringing them onto this wire in order to create Suicune's signature crown shape. I'm using the lightest shades of blue towards the top, with the darkest beads at the bottom. To attach it to her head, I first tried inserting wires into her head, but that didn't work very well. So I took 2 more pieces of wire and twisted them together to create a headband. I strung the twisted wire through the crown shape and then secured the band around her head underneath her hair. For some finishing touches, I'm going to give her more of those white diamonds by accenting her sleeves with these diamond-shaped rhinestones. I just glue them on using tacky glue after attaching some ribbon along the elastic band. I also created a little necklace out of wire and beads that is meant to evoke images of raindrops, though I didn't do a good job of doing it on the camera because it was so tiny and difficult, so you'll see it later. She's also going to get some large dramatic earrings made from pieces of white lace, similar to Yveltal's cool lace earrings. I glue shimmery crystals onto the lace and then use pins to insert the earrings into her already pierced ears. Last but not least, I'm not satisfied with just the bangles on her feet, so I'm using a strip of teal rhinestones to create another bracelet type accent on her feet and ankles. I don't know what you should call this type of anklet or if it has a name, but I think they're really cool looking and I think they really kind of go with the style I'm evoking here. Okay everyone, it's doll magic time. Are you ready for your transformation, Blondie? Wow, I haven't seen this many crystals on one doll since Mega Diancie. Have I ever mentioned how much I love crystals? As you can see, I added more rhinestones to her top, and I think they actually add so much elegance and beauty to her design. Suicune has always been one of my favorite legendary Pokemon, and so I knew that Suicune had to be Aquarius in the Zodiac. Its color scheme was so much fun to work with because teal and purple are among my favorite colors, and I just love working with light blues and turquoise. My favorite part of this doll is definitely her crystal crown. I also really like her sleeves. If I'd had more time, I would have styled her hair into large waves, so that's my only regret. The Pokemon Zodiac is really coming along. Now that Suicune is here, we've completed Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius in the Pokemon Zodiac. Our next star sign is Pisces. What Pokemon do you think would represent Pisces best? There are a lot of good choices for this one, so let me know what you think below in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone, and don't forget to subscribe and maybe even share this video if you're enjoying the Pokemon Zodiac series. I'll see you all again soon for more doll magic. Bye!